Hi there, I'm Vincent Boss and I provide dating and self-improvement advice. And in today's podcast, we're going to be discussing don't waste your life. Life is short, life is fragile, and you can be going through your life, whatever your situation, whatever you're doing, and not fully appreciate it. And that's not to anybody's specific kind of fault. You know, we're all human. We all kind of slip into a routine, and if we're lucky enough to have a life that's kind of going along nicely, we don't really look at the bigger picture. And why should we? Unfortunately, it is only normally due to tragedy or shock that we kind of really get a grip of life and how short it can be. And the point of this podcast is just to try to give everybody a feeling of, you know, let's not wait for the shock. Let's not wait for the bad news. Let's actually grab life by the horns and live it in a fulfilled way, which is fulfillment for us. So you've got your situation, you're kind of going along life, everything's okay, but nothing is great. Now, I'm not saying you've got to go and learn how to skydive or travel around the world or do something kind of outrageous. Now, maybe that is something that appeals to you, and if it does, then that's great. But it's not for everybody, and I don't believe that everybody should have the same kind of ultimate goal of what constitutes not wasting your life. It's kind of in your opinion and your soul about what life is about, but you should be living it to your limit of what you think are achievable goals, and maybe going a little bit further than that, pushing your limits, but always staying in the boundaries of who you are. You know, some people, as I've kind of said, they might see it as traveling around the world, they might see it as learning how to skydive, they might have a whole bucket list of things, and for them that's great. If that's what they want to aspire to, if that's what they've always thought of, then that's fantastic. But you know, for you, it could be something like learning a new language. It could be improving your job situation. You might want to try to start your own business. You might want to try and kind of progress in what you're doing in an educational sense or in a fitness sense, or just in any regard by improving your life and being a little bit better today than you was yesterday, and even better tomorrow. So when we're saying don't waste your life, it's about making sure that you look back whenever you're on your deathbed. We're all going to be there one day. When you're on there, actually looking back and going, you know what, I gave life the fullest. I gave it the best kind of effort that I had. I played life with all of my ability and heart. And then you can't say anything negative against yourself. You can't be disappointed. We all make mistakes. We're all human. But if you know that you gave it your all, that's all you can do. And the problem that we have is that normally, unless we have a shock, unless we have bad news, unless we have something that really shakes it up in our mind, we can get trapped in a bit of a mundane way of life. And I think it's important to kind of push yourself, to have goals, to think, okay, I want to achieve this next week, next month, next year. And if you don't quite get there, then at least you gave it a go. It's a situation where, of course, it's important to rest and recharge, and you know, they are the kind of things that you want to enjoy, because you've just done something which may have been to a little bit of excess. You kind of pushed yourself, and then you're rewarding yourself with rest, with chilling out, with a lovely kind of time of leisure. So what you don't want to be doing is this kind of situation where you're just sitting around, you're watching the TV, not because it's anything you want to watch, just because what else are you supposed to do? You know, you don't want to be doing that. You want to watch TV if it's something you want to watch. You want to be resting if it's because you've earned that rest, or if your body's tired. You know, if you're not feeling well, then obviously rest. But otherwise, you know, you should be resting when you're tired. from either something you've done physical or something you've done mental. Either way, you need to kind of earn your relaxation time, and then it feels a million times better. If you're going to work 9 to 5, coming home, of course you're going to want to relax. Of course you're going to want to kind of do the things that you enjoy, that you've planned. But what you don't want to be doing is spending 5 or 6 hours a night just doing nothing. Maybe you've got plans for the weekend, which is great. But, you're kind of wasting your life without realising you're wasting your life. When you get back from work, if that's your kind of instance, then of course, have a rest, chill out. But then what could you be doing? What could you be doing filling those extra hours before bed? You could be productive. You could be pushing yourself in a new direction. Maybe you're single and you're looking for a new relationship. You could be socializing in new circles. You could be using online dating. You could be doing something. We can even, they say that only women can do two things at once. Men can as well. We can do two things at once. You could be watching TV whilst online dating. You could be on the exercise bike, kind of getting some fitness, whilst at the same time thinking about a new business idea you want to try. You could be planning your next trip somewhere because you've always really wanted to visit somewhere in particular, but you just think, I can't be bothered. Well, you could be planning that whilst deciding how much money you need to earn before you can actually afford to go on such a trip. You could be doing all of these things at the same time. You don't want to just be chilling out and relaxing for the sake of it. It should be something that you've earned, something that you enjoy. You don't want to be kind of procrastinating to the point of where you're feeling so mundane, you're feeling so bored, you're going to bed early, not because you need to, just because you've got nothing else going on. It's important to kind of live life to the max, but that doesn't necessarily mean going at it a million miles an hour. It just means making sure that all of your hours are well spent. Your sleeping hours are well spent, sleeping, recovering, relaxing. Your working hours are spent well working hard. If you like your job, can you progress it further? If you don't like your job, maybe you need to learn a new skill. Maybe you need to look around. Take that effort to become happy. Do what you need to do to progress your situation. The average life expectancy in most countries nowadays is getting towards the mid-80s. If you treat yourself right and you look after yourself and you have that bit of luck, people are getting into their 90s, into their 100s more and more. It's a lot more possible, and anything can be achieved. Yes, you need a bit of luck, but if you treat yourself right by staying in shape, making sure that when you have some free time, you do the exercise, and also that you kind of exercise your mind. You do things which makes you think. You keep your mind active, and then once you've done those kind of things, you relax well, you chill out. Stress can be the cause of lots of illnesses. You want to kind of zone out and relax when you can, but make sure it's for a reason. Make sure you're doing that because almost like you've earned it. I just think it's important to kind of G yourself up and feel the enthusiasm of life before it's gone. It's a short life, we're kids, we're teenagers, we're going through the education system. Before you know it, some people are in their mid-20s. Maybe they're doing a few kind of adventurous things then. Maybe you're not. But before you know it, you're in your 30s. Now, as I've just said, life expectancy has been pushed further and further and further, and that's great. And so is quality of life. But let's look at it. Let's look at it and say, when are your best years of your life? Well, people who've treated themselves well, that can be pushed later and later and later. But for some people, the best years of their life might be kind of, from an adult perspective, from like your 20s to probably your 60s, where you're feeling kind of the fittest and healthiest. That's not long. So don't wait until you're kind of 70 years old and then think, now I need to get fit. I mean, of course, if you're in that position, then the first step is to try and get fit in a healthy, sensible way. But you know what I'm trying to say? Like, don't wait around. Do things now. You can be doing more things at once than you're thinking you are. If you're working, then work hard and put your effort in. If you're not enjoying it, think of how you can train to do something else. Think about if you want to try a new business. Can you take a chance? Can you take a risk? Be sensible. I don't mean risk everything. Take a sensible, calculated risk. If you're on the verge of starting your own business or something, is it something that's feasible? Ask people's opinion that you trust. Ask professionals for advice. Make sure you enjoy what you're doing. Progress as far as you want to in your own business, in your work, in your education. Tick off things off your bucket list, not anybody else's, but make sure you've got a bucket list. It doesn't matter whether somebody else thinks those things aren't very adventurous, or maybe they think they're damn crazy. If it's your bucket list, make sure that by the time you're on your deathbed, you've ticked the things off your bucket list. If you're looking for a relationship, the best time to start is now. There's no reason not to try. Doesn't matter how busy your life is, online dating's available. It's something that we've all got opportunities with the internet. Whether you're trying to look for a relationship, find a new educational kind of path, wanting a new job, starting a new business, wanting to travel, wanting to learn, read, listen, everything is available to us with the internet, with kind of downloads, being like making all of the information around the world is at your fingertips. If you're listening to this podcast now, then you've got the opportunity to kind of learn anything you want to achieve anything you want to do. If I can get anything out of you, it's just don't waste any time. I'm putting this podcast out now. I've got literally 15-20 minutes free in my day, and I'm thinking, right, I'm not feeling tired. What can I do? Right, I'll put this podcast out. I knew full well I was going to do this the next opportunity I had. I could have just lounged around now. I could just put on the TV. But I've watched a bit of TV today already. I'm not feeling tired. I don't need a rest. I want to be productive. And this is what I'm doing. I'm fitting it in. Be productive in your day. Achieve the things you want to achieve. Remember to be you. But remember that life is short. Don't waste your life.
The podcast you just heard was made using Anchor. Ever thought about making your own podcast? Anchor makes it really easy for anyone to get started. It's a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing podcasts. Best of all, it's 100% free. Sign up now at anchor.fm/new. That's anchor.fm/new to get started.